So, and it's, just reading some more about it, but the term is adverse possession. So you might want to check that
I
out.
think regardless, if you've been maintaining that property for, whether you've been there 6 months or 60 years, and you've been cutting the grass and taking care of the stone wall or whatever, for them to come in and just disrupt it, destroy it, move it, whatever, and not return it back, I don't see that happening.
That possession of the town is to maintain the power lines, cut trees back and do whatever with it without having to have agreements and go to people. I mean, they're gonna bring it back. We've had this discussion in the meetings. They're gonna be responsible to bring this back to a better state than it already is and to the original. They're not gonna be able to leave and they're not gonna get paid if they don't.
Is there any chance of them maybe widening the road a little too? Because the road is kind of narrow, and now that they are digging it and stuff, I have no qualms. I don't know what anybody else. They would, just a few feet on either side, just so that, because there are sections where the poles, you gotta go around a pole this way, someone's going around a tree the other way. You're almost like going head on at each other.
It is pretty bad, but I don't know if they're gonna be responsible to widen the road. It was a small backcountry road to begin with very.
Right, I just didn't know if that was something.
They're gonna improve the storm drains, the collection of water, so you don't have these issues, and that's going to definitely improve the road. Because there was no collection, it just ran down the road and it came to the bottom and washed out. So, that's not gonna happen anymore.
Yes.
And while I'm thinking of it, I just wanted to say thank you to you guys. There were a bunch of people that responded back to me pretty quickly, and I appreciate everything that everyone here did to respond to me pretty quickly, and to also Heather and Southbridge. I think, you know, it was pretty quick response by everybody, and I appreciate that very much. So,
You were not hurt in the accident, were you? This is way off topic, but of course, the one question I had was, I mean, who was at fault here? I wouldn't believe it would be you. I mean, you were constricted to one lane.
They actually blame the road conditions. They said that the road conditions were unacceptable, even though she was 90% of the way through the one-lane road, where the gentleman going the other way never even. I mean, if there's a one-lane road and I see someone coming on my side, I kind of stop, let them go by and proceed. It was like, you're on my side, don't care, kept going straight and plowed through. I mean, how that no one was at fault on that, it looks like that they're just blaming the road.
I picked up a copy of the police report last night, and that's what it says, is that it's just the road conditions
Were unacceptable.
were unacceptable in a one-lane road, and it was based, the accident appears to be based on the construction, and they actually named the construction.
Just as a small thing, one day my wife came home from work, one of their work trucks was parked right next to one of the poles that's this far off the roadway. He was parked on the other side of the road. My wife tried to squeak by him, and her passenger side mirror whacked the telephone pole. I went back the next day, found the mirror that just popped off. I found it lying on the side of the road there, but, you know, just they careless as to where they are, and I'll include that in the list to you. You know, they're just careless and, you know, mindless of the people that are living on the road, as far as I'm concerned.
I would write everything down, document it, get it all to Jim.
I'm going to.
The more the better.
Yes.
I mean, not to mention the bus trying to squeeze by all these vehicles that are parked on the side of the road that are not really on the side of the road because the road's narrow itself. But, I mean, that bus has to squeeze by, and I end up walking my daughter across the street to get on the bus because I don't know how far that bus is from their vehicles.
Yeah, they had a long discussion about better communication with the bus company, and Time Bomb was very, very adamant about you need to improve, to assure that the police officers are there to let the buses know that you're able to go through, provide adequate, you know, space for the bus to get by. Because some of these buses, if they don't feel comfortable they can make it, they don't want to take a risk of falling off that soft shoulder with children in the bus. And I can't blame them.
Yeah, I mean, even the same thing with the buff. I had my recyclables weren't collected one day. And I called Linus, well, the driver noted that the road was impassable. What do you mean it's impassable? I said, I had a conversation with other people, they said they saw Casella trucks going down the road, but why didn't your truck go down the road? So I don't know if it was a
I think it's
lazy
all
driver.
safety. It might be all a safety thing too, I mean,
Some drivers, maybe it was a personal
Yeah, choice, yeah.
choice that he decided, I don't want to take that chance,
Yeah,
so.
but I'm just saying, they're supposed to let those guys get down too,
Yeah.
and let them pass.
So when does construction end officially for the road? I know they're still doing potentially some lateral.
Very soon. We have our last meeting on the 11th, December 11th, and when Christmas comes, that's it. So then a week after that. So I'll find out definitely, and I'll give an update to everybody, and I'll take notes and give you the last reports with all the data updates, and I'll forward it.
So Jim, everybody out here wanted your card has it for.
If anyone, I think everyone knows.
Information.
And I'm very,
The wires probably know it
you can
by
touch
now.
me anytime. But if you have it, get it to me so I can get it to Cassandra so she can be proactive rather than reactive. On the 11th, we can get it done. I forward them to her now, then at the meeting we discuss them, I already know about them. And she could forward to the construction supervisor at Ludlow to get going on these things. Because they're gonna be leaving and then they're gonna be gone and then you're gonna be stuck with a mailbox. You're gonna have to put in frozen ground or something. It's not fair, so.
Well, it's a moot point for me to move around, I'm still planning on moving it anyways.
Yeah,
Because it's like a little bit too close to the road and it's getting whacked by the snow when the plows go by.
right.
It hasn't been hit by a plow, but just by the force of the snow. But it's just an aside from all of that. We just had our monthly water collection last week. And Mike from Ty and Bond mentioned, my wife was talking to him, said, get the information, he said, get the information to him, he'll make sure it's taken care of. Do you rather, I assume you'd rather have it all funneled through you rather than sending it directly to him? So you have a log or of some kind?
I think
By
you'd want a town official rather than someone who works for Ty and Bond. I can give it directly to this.
Okay,
their
I just
supervisor.
wanted to,
But it's up to you, I mean.
no, I'd rather
I
go,
can rest
I'd rather
assured
make
that
sure you
I'll-
have a log of it and of everything for all the different houses.
Anyone who issues a complaint, we keep a log in here, that the complaint was filed about this, the date, the time, and the reason. So,
Okay,
they don't just.
no problem, I
go unfounded.
wanted to confirm, that's all.
If you give it to him, he may throw it in his truck, and then I can rest assured that I will get it to the right person to get it corrected.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
That's why we keep Jim around, because he's so good at this stuff.
Well, if I lived there, I'd want someone to make sure that they listen to me and we're caring that this is your personal property and you've been inconvenienced, even though you're getting water. It's still been a total inconvenience from the beginning until finally you turn on the faucet and then and that's a long ways away. Not a long ways, but certainly,
There's a lot of things.
there's a lot of stuff to do.
Yes.
We're talking what, next fall?
Yeah, well, they wet the lines, yeah, but they're gonna move, but in the meantime, we wanna make sure before they're out of here that they don't leave stuff that's, like you said, that they may think is the town of Charlton, they don't have to do it, but you've been maintaining for years. I mean, you don't want the front of your house, if I see a piece of trash in the front of my house, even if it's across the street, cause someone threw it, I'm gonna go pick it up. You know, I'm not gonna leave it there, and you maintain that.
All right. Anything else? Matt, you've been kind of quiet. Do you have anything?
No.
I'm just trying to get through H Foot Road, Berry Corner Road, Elmore Lane. Anybody else from the audience here? All right, we'll move on then. Next item on ongoing business was Burlingame Road water testing. We've already talked about that, so we can now talk about the marijuana discussion. This is just general discussion about the,
Mr. Chairman, and all those right there, the plans for BGG, the noise study, paperwork, and the odor.
Oh, is one for each of us?
No,
Well, I'm running over here because I got the emails.
yeah, I did too, and
I wanted, those are the hard copies that the planning board sends to me that I look at, and I want you to review them. They requested I be at the planning board meeting tomorrow night.
All right, so along those lines, is it a good idea for any of us to also show, or no?
It's the purview of the board to show up if you feel you need to be there, absolutely. I would encourage, I think they didn't spend much time on the odor the last time, they were more concerned with other things, but
Are they gonna be talking about it tomorrow? Is it part of your-
according to VGG, yes, they're gonna talk about that paperwork. But the thing is, that is the document that's presented from the engineering firm, whether it holds, I would like to see zero odor.
Yeah, All right, some of this stuff was somewhat technical, but there's really no parameters
When you
about
read it, what's it say at the end?
best practice, and, you know, we're gonna try our best, and this, that, and the other thing, and it sounds like,
We want a little more than
it
that.
sounds similar to a situation that we're discussing every month here.
Yeah, so I think that if you looked at the Leicester situation, traffic for that little facility in that town has overwhelmed them, so, and my son just sent me a link to he works in Leicester, and Route 9 has been overwhelmed, parking lots, people's property.
Half an hour delays, I heard, getting through there at times.
So, and that's a very well-used road of Route 9, right through to all the Brookfields and onto Western Mass, so, but certainly, if that shop down the street, and as you know, I am the chairman of the Marijuana Advisory Committee, there is a traffic study committee that I am not on, but certainly if that little facility down there, I don't think it'll get the amount of traffic that Cultivate does, because they're a lot bigger, but they're only, remember, they're only for medical in the beginning, so you have to have a prescription.
Well, they're also at the crossroads of a 4-lane highway and a
40
state-
parking spots, and
Yeah.
Cultivate, they had about 4,000 people, so,
Yeah.
I don't know the exact
They
number.
wouldn't want
I'm
to be the
speculating.
insurance company. Is it still the insurance company right next door?
Yes, yes.
Oh,
And the McDonald's and Honey Farms and,
and then people crossing, oh.
but well, that's something that the police chief and his department has been working on.
Oh, you're right, though, medicinal is good. And as more of these facilities come online, I think we'll.
Yeah, the
see
medicinal
kind of-
that was there was by appointment. They took those people at first and they were gone. It was the recreational that caused all.
Mhm.
So they did medicinal there also?
Yes,
Okay.
yep, they're both.
So people that were there for medicinal purposes were allowed to come in
First, yes.
And the real problem from the way that I understand it is that these were the only 2 recreational sales places east of the Mississippi, one in Northampton and one in Leicester.
That's true.
So regardless of whether somebody, I think some people just wanted to be able to say, I was there. the
I was
first day."
there when it opened. This is,
Yeah.
you know, but I think it was a mistake on the Cannabis Control Commission's part of not opening up a large amount of them at once and then gradually just opening one at a time and overwhelmed the small towns, and that was part of the issues. And Leicester was first one open for recreational, Northampton, same thing. You could actually get on your phone and log in an appointment and get right in for medical.
Mhm.
The thing is, if that's the only one that's open and there's nothing else open, they're all gonna go there. So
Right.
I think that was a mistake on their part, not issuing maybe 20, 30 permits like they should have, so they wouldn't overwhelm one community. And I think that's something you need to take a look at.
So in your opinion, Jim, what's the holdup with doing 2 a week or 4 a week? Is it just the process itself?
It's the process, they have to complete their paperwork, their application, the Department of Public Health was already there at the Charlton facility, which gave them, I haven't got their report yet, because they have to do a site visit. They still have not issued the license. We were supposed to do a site visit to North Brookfield to check for odors and nuisance and how it was run, and that was canceled by them. They said they had to do it at a later date. But if anyone from the board wants to go, I think we're gonna reschedule that. I'll forward you the date. It's gonna be at 4 o'clock on a Wednesday night in December.
How big is the facility in Brookfield?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'd like to go.
1.5, 2 acres, something like that, of growing inside.
Inside.
Yeah.
And there's, are you aware of any complaints from area residents?
I'm not aware of any complaints there, no. It's smaller capacity, I'm aware of complaints. I did speak to the, as I said at the last meeting, to the DEP, and she said the one in Franklin was bad. They expect 0 emission, 0 odor, so whatever they're doing, hopefully it's not the same company that's taking care of
Well,
GGG.
that's my concern, and 50 or 60 acres.
Right, and I will be taking a ride to the Franklin one, just to see if there's odors out there, and hopefully the Cannabis Control Commission or someone can let me know what their odor report, and get a copy if it matched up to this one, which is best practices, because it's not gonna work.
Yeah, best practices, it's just 2 words strung together, as far as I'm concerned.
So if you read that, there's a lot of
No
cut and paste.
guarantees.
They cut and pasted right off our
Yeah.
website. I wasn't happy with it. Certainly, I would tell them right to the face that, you know, the only thing that mattered was the end, best practices used. That's it, the rest of it, I could have put together just by patching stuff together. I
Well,
mean,
that's why I'm hoping the planning board is certainly they've got to be aware of some of the issues that have been going on with
Mhm.
Casella and some of these marijuana facilities. Because once they approve it, and once the VGG goes in and starts putting in tens of millions of dollars into the former orchard land, and that becomes operational, it's gonna be David versus Goliath trying to get them to shut down because of odor.
Just to remember, the only person that could shut down a marijuana facility is the Attorney General. The Board of Health can take away the permit, they can actually file a grievance that it's causing manifest injustice. Then it goes to the Attorney General, and the only one that can shut them down is the Attorney General.
That's wrong. In my
And that's from
opinion, it's
Michelle
wrong.
Delmar, because even the DEP can't shut them down.
So she was-
I know that the Franklin location does have an odor. I actually just moved from Franklin just over a year ago. They opened up after we moved, but I mean, I go back there occasionally, and I've driven by and I definitely smell it.
Yeah, and they had a dog training facility for drugs, and they can't train the animals, they have to move because
Yeah.
they're just
I
untrainable.
think that one's Destination Dog or
Yeah.
something, yeah.
And this is from the DEP,
The
Michelle
animals are
Delmar.
untrainable, what do you mean?
Well, because the odor in the air is marijuana, you're trying to train them to sniff out for drugs, which is,
Jim also has another story. Is that something you want to bring up about the airline pilot? Can you discuss that? The one that you told me about?
there you, oh, my friend Frank?
Yeah, in Denver,
Oh, that.
Colorado or something?
Yeah, one of my friends, Frank, who's a pilot for United Airlines, he's a training pilot, lives in Denver, and it's, that's all you smell is pot.
So,
There's- every 30 feet there's a pot shop. Even the stores in Charlton now are selling paraphernalia, because they're allowed to.
what the other thing is, and I wanted to get this point out too, is that they would test pilots for THC in their bloodstream, and they can't even do it anymore if pilots are stationed at all for any amount of time in or around Denver, because there's so much secondhand smoke of THC that it's now registering, and they're going, wait a minute, I haven't touched this stuff,
Yeah.
and yet it's showing up in a blood test, which to me is a health issue. Maybe it's not so bad if it's a small amount and you're an adult, but if it's around little kids where they're in
Yeah,
the
and I
development
don't-
stage, I got an issue.
And we have people that, you can tell they're using it because there's a strong odor, it's kind of a pungent, it's an irritant, I'm not too happy about that, someone smelling like a skunk.
Well, that's how they put it up for that facility on Route 20, that's the grow facility, and that's
Yeah.
only 7,500 square feet indoors, and the neighbors are complaining. So that's why,
Yeah.
50 or 60 acres, is there any facility that's even close to that size, I wanna know, that doesn't smell if you're in a butter?
Well, Franklin's pretty big, but it's nowhere as big as the one in Charlton's gonna be, and Michelle Delmar, who I respect very much, responded to an odor complaint there from as the representative of the DEP under the nuisance, and she said the place was horrible, horrible. All she can do is write them up, send them a notice of non-compliance, even if she finds them, like, she can't do right away, because it takes a notice of non-compliance and then failure to comply, so it takes forever, and then they don't even have authority to shut them down, only the Attorney General. And she has to work in conjunction with the local Board of Health. So if she came into Charlton and someone called her, she's gonna call me. I would let the board know that we received numerous complaints. I would respond, write it up as she would, but it's not a thing where we're gonna take away their license and close, because the Cannabis Control Commission has delegated that only the Attorney General can close the site for any kind of violations, not even the DEP.
Well, I know why the residents, the butters are upset, because of potential issues such as this.
And that's just straight up facts from the DEP.
Right.
And Michelle Delmar said, it's a small facility in Franklin, and it was absolutely horrible. So I wanna know what they have for filtration
Right.
system.
Yeah,
So I'm
'cause
gonna
they
try
had
to
some
find
nice,
out.
they had some nice screenshots of the carbon filters, and they said, oh, we're gonna train, well, I'm thinking, yeah, but when you've got an area the size of, you know,
Right.
downtown Charlton that's emitting that much odors, I don't know, I'd like to be proven wrong.
DEP said that there should be zero odor emissions from these facilities, zero. That's what they,
Well, and that's why it should be part of the order of conditions.
I didn't
If
see anything about
there's-
zero emissions in the.
Right, no, and it should be, if you violate this, you'll be shut down, or shut down for, you know, like anything else.
Yeah,
A
certainly.
liquor license violation, if
Yeah.
you sell to a minor, you're gonna be shut down for a week. Second one is a month, third one is whatever, a year.
Even tobacco, if you sell tobacco, it's a fine, and then you shut down.
Yeah, sure. It should be the same for something like this. Again, I hope I'm wrong. I want to believe, I listened to these guys over at the auditorium when they talked earlier this year. They're all very intelligent, well-spoken, well-meaning. We're not supposed to talk about dollars, but, you know, the town could certainly use a couple million, $2.5 million guaranteed per year, but not to the detriment of the butters and also the nearby schools. Just, anyway.
I think you can get an answer from anyone you want. I know that I've listened to professionals in the past. One of them was Joanne Shatkins, who worked, and she talked about odors and nuisance, and she said the landfill, I think you were there, she was a consultant that said there would never be any odors for the landfill. They're not allowed. Well, guess what? I've got about, I don't know, 350
Complaints?
complaints.
Yeah.
So, if you pay for someone, you can get the right answer from anybody.
Sure.
So, depends what side you're on. Yeah. I just didn't think that report was, it just didn't say what I wanted to hear.
So, getting back to tomorrow night's planning board meeting, you are definitely going.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the rules here. If somebody else shows, if I were to show, that's not a problem. If
You
I
can
were to-
go to anything.
You can go to any meeting. You all three could go.
All
Well,
three
you
of
just
us
can't
can go.
discuss.
We just kind of.
Can't discuss amongst ourselves at that meeting or represent the board without calling a meeting and having it posted.
As long as there's a valid posted meeting,
You're just going to learn something.
you're a citizen still.
My problem is I can't always keep it set to,
You can talk, but not as a member.
not as a member of the board.
Write it down and pass it over here.
I am, full disclosure says that I am also on the Board of Health.
I'm not on the board, so I'm just,
I may show up. I don't know about you two, but I may show up.
I think you should. I mean, as chairperson of the board, I think you should. I think this board should be more involved in the whole permitting process. And,
we talked about that today.
And I don't think we're going to be.
in most towns, I think they are. And I'm not sure.
Well, if you look in that paperwork, it does talk about the board, and they send you, like, this is what they give to everybody. And whether you give an opinion on, your opinion is based upon, how do you give an opinion on that? I mean, it's an engineering firm that gave best practices on odor control and noise control. And that's what it is. So to dispute that is very difficult. And do you want to wait till they're built, disputed? But that's what I'd like to find out, if that's the same filtration system where they're
Because then
having
you've got a
issues.
leg to stand on.
Yeah.
If you say, well, that's the same as what they have in Franklin.
So I'd like to find out what Franklin uses and
Yeah.
what their engineering report, and see if it mirrors something like that. If it does, it's not working for Franklin, it's not gonna work for a facility that's 3 times the size of that.
Right.
How big is the one in Franklin?
I'm not sure, but I don't think it's anywhere near, because one license, so it's under 2.5 acres or 100,000, 100,000 square feet. So, I'll find out.
Good. Yeah. I'll try to go, but what time's the meeting?
I'm pretty sure, I'll check, I'm pretty sure it's tomorrow night, because I did get an email from.
I think it is. I think in the paperwork that you got from VGG, they stated, they did mention tomorrow as the date. And he also said he wants to be able to work with this board for any permitting or operating issues, including food service.
Food
So they're-
service, yes.
That must obviously be for their employees.
They're gonna have probably a commercial kitchen and hire a company to cook for their employees. They're probably gonna run around the clock, so most of the time it's vending, only vending, and we go in just like they do at Overlook now. It's self-serve, we just put money in and the food comes out, and every day they stock.
Okay, but regardless, it'll need a permit.
It still needs a permit.
Just tell you really quick, they don't want those people leaving because it's such a clean environment. They're going in, they shower, they
Yeah.
work, they want them to eat in the facility.
Okay.
So,
That makes
Yeah, they
sense.
don't wanna go
they're
off-site.
gonna have a cafeteria.
Yeah, they don't want them off-site, basically, so what, the extent of what kind of food they're gonna provide,
Yeah.
because there's gonna be a couple hundred employees, according to them, but we don't know. So, but certainly that's in the purview of the board, food permit. Okay.
7 o'clock tomorrow? Is that, did you look at the agenda? Is it, that's when they're
Those
slated to
meetings go on
start?
to 10:30, 11 o'clock.
I know, that's why I
Survivor
asked.
starts at 8.
starts